Hello, my name is Corinne Cronschnabel, and I will be talking about gathering places, applying metadata standards to religious communities in Milwaukee. Started in 2018 by Professor Christopher Cantwell and a group of students, Gathering Places was originally in the format of a class. The goal of the project was to not only document the history of Milwaukee's places of worship, such as churches, synagogues, mosques, etc., but to also see what the urban religious landscape of Milwaukee looks like now. Students chose places of worship to research and work together to gather historical and present-day information about the spaces and their members. They collected photographs, financial documents, pamphlets, recorded oral histories, as well as other types of media. All the data collected was compiled on the Gathering Places website, which was created through the Omeka platform. Students created their own tags, descriptions, and collections of items they gathered. An interactive timeline and map allow visitors to see where these places of worship existed and to learn their histories, as well as their present-day locations and statuses. This semester, I was brought on to help Professor Cantwell improve aspects of the website. First, I added alt text to every item to improve accessibility. Now, when someone's mouse hovers over an image, a description pops up of that image. The aspect of the website that required the most improvement was specifically in regards to metadata. The tagging system used to organize the items and collections needed to be streamlined. Many tags were inputted but never actually used in tagging any of the items. Some items had 0 tags while others had 10 or even more than 10. A few tags were even repeated, but because they had different spellings, they were counted as entirely different tags. It was a bit of a mess. The main goal was to create a set of naming standards that could be applied to every item. This is where things got a bit interesting. Religion is deeply complex and often difficult to categorize, while metadata relies on simplicity and clarity. How does one contend with the seemingly disparate qualities of these two in order to make them work together? This was the main question that was tackled during the course of this project. We had to come up with a way to efficiently organize the data collected by the students, therefore categorizing religious topics and phenomena at the same time. This is where the naming standards come into play. Simply put, these standards are 7 different categories of tags. Each item has each of these standards present in the tags. A few examples are listed next to each one here. So religious tradition, that involves tags such as Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, etc. Theological tradition, we get a bit narrower with tags like Catholicism, Unitarian Universalism, mainline Protestantism, evangelical Protestantism, and many more. Denominational affiliation, so things such as Reform Judaism, non-denominational, Greek Orthodox Church, Southern Baptism, Baptist Convention, etc. A gathering place, that refers to the name of the place of worship that is being discussed. So, for example, First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee and St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Geographical location, that's where the place of worship is located. So we have some in Yankee Hill neighborhood, some in Shorewood Village, and many other geographical locations. Item-specific tags refer to what the item is. So are we looking at a photograph? Are we looking at an oral history or a document? And then subject-specific tags are about the subject of that item. So is it a photograph of a building? Is this a document about finances or construction history? Things of that nature. In order to properly create these naming standards, the scope of the collections across time and space had to be taken into account. Changes to these places of worship occurred throughout history and therefore had to be documented on the website. A balance had to be created between describing the items properly, but not overloading them with tags, which would make the system essentially useless. Overall, this process reflects how religion is perceived in a historical context as it is compared to the present. So I wanted to show an example of the naming standards at play. So this is an example of one of the items from the St. Paul's Episcopal Church collection. So as the description says, it is a document listing costs involved in building the first St. Paul's Church on Mason and Jefferson, and we can see the tags right there. The religious tradition is Christianity, the theological tradition is Evangelical Protestantism, the denominational affiliation is the Episcopal Church, the geographical location is East Town neighborhood. The gathering place name, or the name of the place of worship, is of course St. Paul's Episcopal Church. The item-specific tag is document, and the subject-specific tags are construction and finances. So what is the outcome? Well, the project is still underway. Regarding metadata, tags are still being edited in accordance with the naming standards that have been created. The goal is to have that completed by the end of the semester. There are other aspects of the website that can be addressed as well, such as adding a key to the map on the homepage and editing the timeline to make it more accessible. There are way more places of worship in Milwaukee yet to investigate. We are hoping to get back to interviews and on-the-ground research once COVID-19 is less of a threat to the health and safety of Milwaukee communities. The Gathering Places project as a whole shows how metadata standards can be applied to religious information in order to situate them within their global, theological, and social contexts. Gathering Places hopes to set an example for future religious projects that seek to document places of worship and other locations across the United States.